Live from the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, here's Sid Rosenberg.
You know, I did so many years in sports. WFAN in New York, the biggest and best of all, 3 stations in Miami. I covered nearly 20 Super Bowls, covered Pro Bowls in Honolulu. And, you know, you go through the business of radio like I'm doing now, and it was wild because, you know, Dan Marino would walk in, Joe Namath, Joe Montana, all these guys. They would party all night long, and then Radio Row the next morning would be dead. Kind of the same thing here. I mean, you have to swap out, Ben Carson and J.D. Vance for Namath and Marino. But it's the same thing. People are out late at night at the convention. They saw Trump last night. They probably went out for drinks afterwards. So a bit quieter in the morning, which is just how I like it, mind you. So my next guest, I love this guy. I am on record. I told Trump and a million other people he's one of my favorite people. He is a former police officer, government official, and during Trump's administration, he was the acting director of the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. He's a tough guy, but a nice guy as well. My friend Tom Homan. Tom, good morning, buddy. How are you?
Good morning. Happy to be here in Milwaukee.
Are you really?
Oh, yeah. I'll be on stage tomorrow.
Oh, good. I can't wait to see you speak. I want to tell you, you were honored a couple of months ago at the Metropolitan Club dinner. You and who else was there? Gordon Chang, Greg Kelly, Alina Habba. Now, I was honored the year before. Greg Kelly got the award this year that I received the year before, Tom. But you spoke and you talked specifically about immigration. And you got very graphic about how 5-year-old boys are being raped and murdered, 8-year-old girls are being raped and murdered. There was not a dry eye in the house that night. You were that good.
Well, that's why I'm so passionate. People always a pilot, I took an American flight over here, and the pilot actually stopped me in the alleyway and said, "Hey, I love you on TV." Because I just wondered, you always seem to be pissed off. And I said, "Well, I am." I said, if you wore my shoes for 34 years and talked to the children that were raped, talked to the women that were raped, carry dead bodies off the border, we got 148,000 dead Americans, we got record numbers of terrorists that come across the border. I said, and this is done on purpose. We had the most secure border of my lifetime under Trump, and these guys came in unsecured on purpose, which means more children are being raped, more women and children are dying, more terrorists are getting in the country. So, yeah, I'm pissed. And I've seen a lot of tragedies in my 34 years, and Donald Trump had it locked down. We were saving lives every day and saving all this terrible, terrible tragedy. And this administration opened it back up. Now we have record number of everything. Yeah, so I want to share those visions with people to understand, look, illegal immigration is not a victimless crime. People are dying every day on that border. And we had it locked down. So, yeah, I tell those stories. They're true, every one of them. I want people to understand, walk in my shoes for 34 years, and you'd understand my emotion and my passion.
I tell you, it's important stuff. It's tough to listen to, Tom, but it's important stuff. And, it goes back to Biden, the people that he picks for his administration. I mean, look at Merrick Garland, for example, exposed again, unconstitutional choice of Jack Smith. You and I are going to get to the lady from the Secret Service coming up here shortly. But Mayorkas, the job, I know that Kamala Harris is the border czar, blah, blah, blah. But there is no way any logical person can convince me, forget about impeachment, Tom Homan. Mayorkas should be in prison. How about that?
Yeah, his actions are treasonous. He is not a dumb man. When he was deputy secretary under Jay Johnson, he had a whole different perspective. He actually went to New York City with me during an ICE operation to arrest criminals in Brooklyn. He went side by side with me under Jay Johnson was the secretary. So he understands the importance of protecting our streets and our neighborhoods, but he is completely at a 180. I call for his impeachment 3 months into the administration. That man needs to be held accountable. Because of him, we got 148,000 dead Americans from fentanyl. We have over 2,200 illegal aliens that died crossing that open border. We have 381 no-inspected terrorists across that border. What he's done is treasonous. He needs to be held accountable.
Couldn't agree more. Tom Homan joining us live from Milwaukee. So I was watching the coverage of President Trump at that rally. I saw him get shot. And then I stuck, of course, with Fox News. I'm a Fox News loyalist. Most of you guys are my friends. throughout the night, and the coverage was great. And they went to you pretty early on, Tom Homan. You were on maybe second or third, and you were giving Kimberly Cheadle all the criticism that she deserves. Now, I'll tell you this, okay? A few of my guests and a bunch of my listeners who contacted me, they're talking about an inside job. Look, I draw the line there. I don't think it was an inside job. I think it was perfectly possible that these specific service people were asleep at the wheel, didn't do the right thing. But I'm always hesitant, Tom Homan, to go to quote-unquote inside job. Am I being naive, or what do you think?
No, I'm with you. I've said the same thing. Let's prove it to me it's an inside job. Until then, look, I'm with President Trump an awful lot. And his security detail, the men and women who got on stage with them, I know them by first name basis. And these guys, think about this. I've been on that stage many times with Trump behind that podium. Within 2 seconds of that shot, you had grown men go up the stairs, go across that stage, and put President Trump down and covered him up. They put themselves in harm's way. They didn't know there wasn't more bullets coming, but they weren't putting themselves in harm's way. And then I heard some media saying, well, they had him on stage too early. You should have took him off the stage quicker. Well, I've been there. The first thing the president's trained to do is get behind the podium, which has a lot of safety features, of course. They get on top of them. Now, I can tell you, I'm a pretty big boy, but if I get tackled by four men, I probably don't have the wind knocked out of me. So, first of all, was the president ready to get up? Second of all, they all got earpieces in. I'm sure the instant commander's telling them, stay down, stay covered. We're scanning for any other shooters, and then they get the green light. And we don't know if the escape vehicles was put in place in time. That may take a couple minutes. But I want to say the men and women that got on that stage are American heroes. That's a rare bunch of people that's willing to take a bullet for somebody else, and they did that. So hats off to those guys. Now, the rifle on the roof, someone needs to be held. Someone dropped the ball, and I think it's leadership, and I think they need to be held accountable. We'll find out starting today. Congress is doing the deep dive in it. I'll tell you what I think. It needs to be an independent investigation outside of the FBI and outside the Secret Service. It needs to be done independently by members of Congress to get to the bottom of this.
I agree about the folks on the ground. They did act quickly, and they were terrific. I've heard those same criticisms, but most of the criticism coming from what you just talked about, which is, how is it possible that a kid can climb on the roof when the Secret Service were inside that building? Somebody was on my show this morning, and they said, what a complex operation. I said, complex? The kid had a gun. He bought 50 rounds. He had a ladder. Now, again, I can't explain why he got up on the roof. It may speak to the ineptitude or the lack of concentration from the guys in the building, but you know better than me, Tom. To me, there wasn't a very complex, thing this guy put together. It was actually pretty easy.
Right. Mark Green, chairman of Homeland Oversight, called me, and I'm friends with him, and he asked me, what questions would you ask? And one of the questions I told him you need to ask is about the communications. Now, we know a law enforcement officer first engaged him. Does those local and state law enforcement do they have direct communications with the service? They should. If they could, he should have got on his radio right then and says, "Man on the roof." That ends it right there. Man on the roof. Take Trump off the stage for a few minutes and get it taken care of.
Well, let me just stop you for a second, because while you were on TV on Fox News, supposedly BBC was talking to a guy who I also saw on Fox News with a multicolored jacket holding a beer that said that he did alert both Secret Service and police that he saw somebody crawling on the roof, and they decided to do nothing about it.
If that's true, that's a fail, and someone needs to be held accountable. But the director of the Secret Service, who failed to come on TV, for the first 40 hours and didn't say anything because she was hiding, she needs to be held accountable. She should lose her job just because of the failure of her to get to the American people and tell them what the hell happened to our president. So that she failed. Operationally, I think she failed. But she also failed in her role as a director of Secret Service to get on TV and let the American people rest assured that our president is safe. She has yet to do that. I've seen she being interviewed a few times, but she has yet to say, I guarantee the safety of this president, my men and women will do everything they can to keep protecting this guy. Get out there and talk to the American people. That is your job, to make us feel a little bit better about the safety of this president.
I agree, but she hasn't, and I don't expect Joe Biden to fire her, Tom, and you know better than me, but I haven't seen Joe Biden fire anybody. We just talked about Mayorkas. We've talked about Merrick Garland. I mean, these are bad people. They may have been good people years ago when you knew them, but at this point they're bad people, and they're making some awful decisions, and they're all still working. I had this discussion with my wife a couple of days ago, And it was, do you think things will change now? And I said, no, I don't think that President Trump will stop doing outdoor rallies, that he won't be standing out there in front of thousands and thousands of people, because I think he trusts the process and he loves it. He loves talking to large crowds. So I don't think what happened Saturday will change, for the most part, what Trump has been doing. But you know Donald better than I do. What do you think?
Well, look, I think there's going to be change. I think the American people who believe this crap the last 3.5 years that Donald Trump's a coward, he only cares about himself. This man got shot. Rather than going straight to the car after they did get him on his feet, what did he do? He moved the Secret Service agent aside, put his fist in the air, and told people to fight. He showed them he's a warrior. He's a brave man. He's a man's man. And he did that for the American people. He did that for no other reason, letting them know I'm good and I'm going to continue to fight. They're not going to stop me. They shouldn't stop you. That is a warrior. That's the kind of a president we haven't had in a very long time. And as far as the Biden campaign, they're going to do everything they can to stop Donald Trump. They don't want him to be the next president of the United States. And I'm with you. There should have been a lot of people fired. First one, Mayork. He should have been fired for 6 months because of what he's done to this nation. But I can tell you this. President Trump's one badass president. President Trump will be our president in January, and he's going to make this country safe again. We're going to lock down the border in 90 days, and we'll give Americans a peace of mind. President Trump is a people's president. He proved that. He's the people's president, and we need him back.
In the final couple of seconds or minutes here, Tom, you said we'll lock down the border in 90 days. I'm very good friends with David Friedman. David Friedman served as Trump's ambassador to Israel. He's in Israel as we speak, by the way, waiting the birth of his granddaughter. And he did a terrific job, him along with Trump and Trump's son-in-law, the Abraham Accords. They kept Israel safe. And you did, too, with the border. Now, Friedman has said to me on this show, if Trump wins and he wants me back, I'm going to take that job. So I'll ask you the same question. When Trump wins, if he offers you to once again be in charge of immigration and lock down that border, I'm assuming from what you just said, you would go right back to that same position, yes?
In a heartbeat. And I told the president, I'm so pissed off, I'll come back for free.
You mean it, man. You are terrific, Tom Homan, a great American. Hopefully I'll see you tonight, certainly before Thursday here in Milwaukee. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon, buddy. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. There he is, Tom Homan, here on Sid and Friends in the Morning. And when he says he's pissed, he's not kidding. He's pissed. And he went on to tell some really horrific stories in graphic detail that night, many of which I'll never forget, about what's going on at the border. The real stories, the ones that Biden, Harris, Mayorkas, they ain't never going to tell you.